Hey, thanks for watching this video. There's more at Embark Online. You can tweet me, and there is the Pie Guy. All right, this is third grade, Module 7, Lesson 26. And in this lesson, students are going to continue using that robot as the context for deepening their understanding of area and perimeter. Now, heads up, this lesson involves circles in the class time lesson, not in the homework, but in the class time, in the concept development. So circles, don't get all wrapped up in the circles and thinking about circles being something that our students really need to learn. That is beyond the standards. They're really just kind of getting an experience with those circles, so don't get all wrapped up with that. So let's get started. All right, so we are supposed to use these rectangles, these rectangle A and rectangle B, to answer the questions. Now, first off, parents and teachers, heads up. They're calling this a rectangle because it is. It also has another name, which is square. But remember, squares are just very special rectangles, and so we're allowed to call that a rectangle. So don't let that trip up your students. So what is the perimeter of rectangle A? Well, remember, perimeter means you're going to add this length and this length, which is going to be 4 plus 4, which is 8. And then you're going to double it and get 16. So perimeter is 2 times the length plus the width, which in this case, it's going to be 4 plus 4 is the length plus the width, which is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. So the perimeter is 16. So P is equal to 16 centimeters. And then what is the perimeter of rectangle B? So again, here we can add 3 plus 5, get 8. Double it, that gives us 16. So we see that the perimeter of that figure is also 16. So they have the exact same perimeter, meaning they use exactly the same amount of string to go all the way around the figure in both cases. So what is the area of rectangle A? Well, area is length times width, which in this case it's going to be 4 times 4, which is, oops, coincidentally, it's also 16, but now we're going to call it 16 square centimeters. Those little squares, like square tiles. And what is the area of rectangle B? And I'll do it in, we'll do it in black. What is the area of rectangle B? Well, it's length times width, which in this case it's going to be 3 times 5, which is 15 square centimeters. So we would need 16 squares in order to make this figure. We would only need 15 squares to make this rectangle. So the idea is, how does this explain the relationship between area and perimeter? And the point is, there is no relationship between area and perimeter. Area is merely telling you how many little square tiles would you need to build this figure. Perimeter is talking about the length of string that you would need to go around the rectangle. And the actual numbers, the number for perimeter and the number for the area, there is no relationship between those two. So here, parents and teachers, just a heads up, I felt this was kind of sneaky. This was really kind of hard. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time on this one. It says, each student in Mrs. Dutra's class draws a rectangle with a whole number side lengths and a perimeter of 28. So there's the key right there. All of these figures have a perimeter of 28 centimeters, but they have different areas. And so what I felt was kind of hard is for question A. It says, give 2 examples from Mrs. Dutra's class to show how it is possible to have different areas for rectangles that have the same perimeter. So these all have the same perimeter because they all use 28 centimeters. And then 2 of these, any 2, you choose any 2 of these, and that's your answer. But what's really kind of cool is they put them in nice order, and that's what I want to talk about, is they put them in a nice order here. They said this is 1 by 12. This is, am I right? No, 1 by 13. 1 by 13, and that uses a 28 centimeters of perimeter. This is 2 by 12. This is 3 by 11. This is 4 by 10, 5 by 9, and 6 by 8, and then lastly 7 by 7. Because what's really kind of cool is, remember, when it has a perimeter of 28, your rectangle, when your rectangle has a perimeter of 28, that means the length plus the width has to equal 14, because the other length and width also equals 14. So when the perimeter is 28, you do 28 divided by 2, and that gives you 14. So, whoa. Holy moly, how am I writing the number 14? There's 14. And so that means, the length plus the width has to equal 14. So all of these length plus the widths equal 14. So that's enough of a head start. And then from that, I'll let you answer the rest of the questions, because the rest of the questions are pretty straightforward. What I felt was tricky was this remembering that when you have a particular perimeter, all of the rectangles, the length plus the width, has to equal, in this case, 14, because it's half of the perimeter. And that wraps up kind of a tricky one, 3rd grade Module 7, Lesson 26. Talking about area and perimeter.